Welcome back, OPL fans. We're about to get into Game 2 between Direwolves and Sin, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Chippies, that man on your screen, should not see Gangplank. He's a damn good Gangplank player. He topped damage, he had 3 kills, he took a turret. Ban Gangplank.
Get rid of it. Hit the bench, get rid of that one. I think, in terms of getting rid of things, we were just having a conversation that I think I disagree with in terms of the Yasuo. I think in terms of Sin coming into this game too, I'm not a fan of the Yasuo. Absolutely not.
Why
I think
not? You can't just say you're not a fan of something.
In terms of like against the Malzahar, right? Like it's just so hard to do anything past that level 6 phase. Once the Shyvana hits level 6 and she gets access to the mid lane, it becomes very difficult to do anything. You have to dash up the wave. You have to get in melee range. I think with the spell shield passive, I think it's very hard to actually set up a gank with a Kha'Zix. Maybe that's the problem if they get Juice on something with more engage potential, with more gank setup. Yeah, Sejuani, Jarvan. He did have success on the Jarvan in week 1, but it made his job very hard. And then in the end, I think Juves did mess it up with that invade. He had the counter pick in 2 lanes and then invades and throws his kind of, well, I mean, he's the one guy that's talking about the one opportunity, and then he kind of threw it away, I think.
Yeah, I think at the same time, if you're going to pick a 1-3-1 comp, don't leave Tahm Kench up and available, because it just covers so much of what the global presence of a 1-3-1 is supposed to do. Also, the fact if you're willing to priority pick Varus, there's a reason it's called a priority pick. You need to be able to play through that lane and have some form of priority. And we saw it just become an island, which means K-pop, no roams into the mid lane. Maybe that's a game plan. You know, Alistar plus Yasuo, all of a sudden that's a big kill threat. So I think there were multiple levels that went wrong. I don't think that we can look at Bedoink and say, you know, that was the reason the game went poorly. So I think that within the execution, if you play that game out again and Gangplank's not 3-0 and Malzahar hasn't given all that power to the Shyvana and Juice hasn't given all that power to the Shyvana, maybe it gets to a 1-3-1 point and they're able to make it work.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? There were multiple factors. Both solo laners from the Direwolves, Chippies and Triple in the mid lane played very well. Triple did die to that one gank, but then he set up the kill for the mid lane that had Tahm Kench roaming in from bot side as well. Didn't even need to bring the Vayne, and they got that mid lane turret because it was already half HP. But you did mention, the Alistar in the bot lane, Juves did not go down there at all. They didn't try to set up those ganks, potentially because of the Tahm Kench and the safety that provides.
Well, Tahm Kench is easy to kill. This is the thing.
Tahm is.
Is like, people are like, I can't get Tahm Kench lane. He just saves the AD carry. It's like, why don't you just kill the Tahm? Like, when you've got Varus ultimate, Headbutt Polv, and a damaged jungler, you can kill Tahm Kench.
Not to mention, you have the Varus ulti to set it up, and then he can still cast the Grey Health, and he's hard to kill through that point. But then you set up with the Varus ulti, and then you can combo the Ali on that specific timing to not give him that window, so he doesn't actually take a while to die. You can kill him instantly through that Great Health and buffer that well.
Sin apparently think that it's just too hard at this point, and I'm a big fan, and I've said this all throughout my casting career. If sometimes you don't have an answer, if that was your answer and then it gets beaten, I like just banning what you beat you. So if you're like, Tahm Kench was annoying, Malzahar was really easy for gank setup, and we don't like Shyvana, and they were your next 3 bans, I would be like, that's actually a pretty solid game plan.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as a professional player, as a team coming into this, you have about 8 to 12 minutes. I don't know exactly what the time is this season.
12,
12 to figure out what you're going to do, what you're going to change from game 1, and that's really just not enough to flesh out a completely different game plan.
Also, if you're Bryce Agent Paul, you have to be able to go to the bathroom in that time, and you have to be able to smash a boon.
Yeah,
so really,
you're going to eat a banana. I was wondering if you were going to say it.
So really, you have about 4 minutes to decide what you're going to do, because the other 2 things take bigger priority. Of course, Tahm Kench, Kog'Maw, as well as Kalista and Azir being taken away by the Direwolves.
We do see the Blueside Kog'Maw ban, and then, actually, okay, they're just doing exactly what you said. You talked about it with the Tahm Kench. They're removing that global pressure from the Tahm, from the bot lane. Yeah, and they want to do the same sort of thing, and they're removing the Shen as well. Obviously, it wasn't picked last game, but is still a possibility there as Braum does hit the bench. So.
And a different iteration of Sin then, because even when Sin picked 1-3-1 comps, they were the ARAM team. We used to say that they would just group up Deathball, they would use 1-3-1 to get ahead, collect as much farm as they possibly could, and then they'll just still teamfight you. However, if you're willing to invest 2 bans into Tahm Kench and Shen, that shows that you want to isolate parts of the map as much as possible.
I mean, you mentioned it last week, Sin, out of all the teams in the OPL, they are going to be the ones with a dancing Rift Herald at the end of the game. If anyone's going to do it, I would expect it to be Sin, but they do pick up that Jarvan first pick. I mentioned Juice on the Kha'Zix didn't have too much of an impact last game. This, we saw last week, did. And a good adaptation, I think.
Yeah, and the Fabulous Man down in the bottom lane going to be crying a little bit, as we'll probably see another tier Taric picked up for Cupcake. Of course, Malzahar going to be there in the mid lane again for Triple, and we'll see whether they still think that the Yasuo is a good enough pick. You don't have to take it this round, because I don't think Direwolves are going to be banning it away. So Varus and Cassiopeia. picked up.
Yeah, and
Do
already...
you know they both have audio cues on their ultimate before their ultimate comes out?
Both as in Varus and Cassio,
no,
or
Malzahar?
Malzahar
And Cassio.
Okay.
So Cassio
I know
slightly
Cassio
screams,
does, yeah.
and Malzahar starts going,
Sorry,
which means
that?
that as soon as you hear that, if you've broken his spell shield, you can hit R, and it actually interrupts the Malzahar ultimate with your CC, because he has to look at you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the cool things.
Camera back on the other people. Now I'm self-conscious. But yeah, so you can actually interrupt that solo. You don't need another person to assist.
Yeah, that's very hard. You have the smallest frame there, but it is possible.
I mean, I love it. All right.
Well, you think I'm backtracking last weekend?
Last week you were like, you should never be hit by a Cassio for your ult.
Yes.
It is an ability you should never get hit by. And then I'm like, all right, in the exact same window, you can stop the Malzahar ultimate. You're like, oh,
is it the exact same window, though? Because I think the Malzahar ulti, although it does have an audio cue before it comes out, right?
Yeah.
It's an instant spell. And I feel like Cassio has to like turn around and scream, and it takes longer to cast
No, but it buffers.
overall.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. Like, if you hit the R in that window, the cast time will go through, even if you are stopped, because it holds you in places, it mobilizes you, but it doesn't stop your animation. I'm calling it. We're going to see it. Badoink.
All right.
Let's go, buddy.
Let's
I've
go.
got all my chips on the Badoink table right now. It's going to be Ezreal picked up. Ezreal Taric is a very powerful lane at the moment.
And already Direwolves, same as last game, they had that Malzahar in the mid lane. They have a lot of CC, but they've already paired it. They had the Vayne Tahm Kench, but now they've got the Ezreal Taric with a safe bot lane. So they're just looking for a similar sort of style. We'll see if Shyvana does get banned away here from Sin, and it does.
I like that. I mean, at a certain point, you have to respect it. Sub or no sub, throw the ban towards him. Maokai, Alistar, Sejuani, Shyvana. Praylis' champion pool has been hit quite hard here. And he goes for the Evelynn. Is that the first OPL Evelynn game?
This is the first OPL Evelynn game we have seen for 2018.
Rengar, Karzik, Zac, all up and available. And Eve takes priority for the Dolphins.
Interesting. We'll see how it goes for them this game. Definitely a differing style from the Shyvana 4 Praylis, but yeah, see how it goes for them here. See what Sin's answer is. They have 3 seconds. And I was about to say, the support pool has been pinched. You see Tahm, Shen, Ali, Braum all taken away, plus the Taric, so no real melee supports left. Does opt in for the Java.
There is one melee support that has gone all the way through pick ban and has seen a lot of play internationally, which is Ornn.
True.
I mean,
I feel like in Oceania, isn't that highly prioritized in the bot lane?
Yeah, it certainly isn't, because Braum seems to be the big answer. When Braum was banned, I actually thought we were going to see an Ornn pick. Maybe not a Praedyth champion, but I think that Ornn support has risen in popularity significantly. And to me, is a legitimate option now, because his ultimate is such a big slow. Even if you can't get the return hit, the slow is impactful enough from the support position.
And you think it's not like the Camille, where its value is really in the flex?
No, I think it's as a standalone pick. As a standalone pick, it is a good pick in my eyes.
Interesting. The strengths of Ornn, which you don't see in the bot lane, are that he has the shield on his main trading tool on the top lane.
No, but you do see it, because what that gives you, I mean, I'm going too deep right now, but supports are so dangerous to shove with.
Yeah.
Ornn support isn't, because his shove tool is the same tool that he uses to be defensive. So you can walk up to the wave at the moment, be unstoppable so they can't CC you, help your Varus shove out, and also get a big health pool shield.
But in that same, if we follow that train of thought though, you are using your defensive tool to shove the wave. And if you have someone with CC like a Taric, like an Ali on the other side, he can just wait that one out, CC you immediately.
Yep.
So I think that's
and then
why...
fight in a 6 creep wave creep. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like Ornn isn't going to be one hitting the creep wave.
No, but with the Varus, with something like that, I mean, he's certainly got a good push, and the bottom lane at the moment is dictated so heavily about push.
Yeah, it is, 100%.
So I think there's validity there.
Yep.
I'll show you in solo.
Okay. I do not look forward to playing with your Ornn, Jake.
At least, no, we'll pop into each other. You're only flat 1 at the moment. I'm flat 2. We're not out of reach. So teams comps have been locked in. Direwolves were able to take game 1 pretty well in the end. 27-ish minutes. I think it was 26:43, 26:49, something like that. Sin, however, hit back in certain areas of the game. Excited to see whether they can pull it together.
And I want to see if Sin can get themselves a better early game. They had a bit of a disaster last game, I think, and game 2 is really where they're looking to pick it up.
So as we stream on to game 2 between Sin and the Direwolves, Laura will be standing by with Vicarious, the coach of Sin, to give us some more insight.
Thanks, guys. I'm standing here with Vicarious. Now, last week we saw that Sin have a very strong early game, but how are you working on transforming this so that the team's dominant in the mid to late game as well?
All right, so Throughout this week, we've really worked on our mid-late game. So as you can see, we continued a solid early game, and then we are trying to transform this into a very strong mid-late game as well. I believe the team is really showing their strength at the moment, and yeah.
Well, we've got Evelyn popping up in the jungle as well this game. How are you planning on combating that?
Evelyn overall doesn't have a lot of pressure pre-6, because of the changes. She doesn't get stealth until then. So we are probably planning to apply more pressure in the early game, which is our strength this game.
Now looking at your team's lineup, what are their win conditions to take this game out?
We don't actually have to do a lot because we're very decent scaling. We've got a very good counter engage. So we're really sort of like pressuring lanes and then look to scale, get domination, like get map pressure overall. And then later on, we sort of outscale them in the mid lane, and then in the bot lane we have a good like team fighting sort of MPL duo as well.
Well, best of luck with this game, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, so I love answers like that. What do you have to do to win this game? Just play
chill.
it. Yeah, just absolutely
out.
play it.
Have a good time.
It's going to be fine. Bedoink will have the shove there. I agree with that. I actually think Cassiopeia is a great matchup into Malzahar. One thing I would like to say is they mentioned the lack of pressure from Evelyn. That is only if she is the first person to the gank. If Praelis tracks Juves and he uses the flag drag and the opponent is not immediately killed, Evelyn is one of the best pre-6 junglers to be second to gank because you cannot miss Charm.
Yep.
You can miss every skill shot around
miss the
Charm.
Fling, miss the
yeah, you
the
can
throw.
miss your Q, you can somehow miss your E, hit a creep or something like that, but as soon as your next Q comes out, they will walk back towards you. As Juves actually goes buff to buff, tries to gank top lane. Not able to make it work.
Yeah, really good read from Chippy's there. As he gets that wall down in the tri-bush, so all he cops is a Q to the face. Not going to do too much there. He's a bit of a Mexican standoff with Praelis in the top lane.
Yeah, actually goes in there, tries to get the smite away from Praelis, but in back-to-back games, Praelis just says, no thanks, buddy.
Get out of
I'll
here.
be taking my own camp. Thank you for the offer of assistance, but I'm quite okay without it.
I wish Jarvan Flag gave just AoE attack speed to everyone, you know? And he's just like, oh, cheers for the attack speed, mate. Going to take down my own Raptor camp with that one, but...
J4, when you used to have to max it because it gave armor as well as attack speed to everyone, I didn't like playing Jarvan.
Just boring. Just,
Wasn't a big fan.
Oh! I was about to mention the fact that their bot lane, not very aggressive at all. It's because they did pick up the Janna, but they have opted in for barrier heal, but let's just call that one heal because the barrier doesn't exist anymore. Bit of a yikes out of Dream there. He's not going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, certainly will not be. We can see already Cassiopeia early game pressure is being translated into very good vision control on the top side of the map.
And in terms of Gangplank overall, we've only seen 1 week of the OPL, but I think in that first week, Gangplanks weren't punished nearly as hard as they should be in the early game. So this is a good sign from Sin, Bedoink, floating his pressure to the top side of the map.
But how do you...
Juves up there well.
So the thing about Gangplank at the moment is, and I say this in the nicest way possible, but I think that Klepto really pushed him over the edge. Because Gorn are the fact that if you zone him off creeps and stuff, that you're doing his job because he can't queue the creeps. Now he just keeps shooting you. And it actually gives him more gold. I feel like there should be a punish mechanic somewhere that if you're just continually using the pistol to shoot people, that you miss out on something. But right now, you can see gold is very even. And CS everywhere is in the advantage of Sid because he just keeps doing this.
What about if every 5th shot backfired and hit himself in the face? How about that one?
Yeah, I like
the balance changes. Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah.
But Chippy's out of mana right now. I think it is down to communication and team play from Sin here. They do want to be setting up the dives. Obviously, only very early in the game. Juves is level 3, so not quite yet. But once they do start hitting that level 6 mark, Praetor can lock him down with a Hextech ultimatum.
But he's very hard to die. I mean, the one thing I will say about Gangplank, he gets oranges, which give him more health based on how much health he's missing. It gets rid of CC, and he gets movement speed and the slow off his barrel.
He's hard to dive in terms of carries, right? But if you compare him to other top laners like a tank, like a Maokai, he has no CC. He can clear the wave, which is something a lot of people do overlook. When you are getting dived as a top laner, if you're like, look, I'm going to die anyway in this 3v1, I can just eat the wave and they go.
He can't back. I mean, sure, it will push back into him, but he's just given Chippy a free shot. And I think it is actually the Sheen shot. And you can see right now that they're both just going to teleport back in. And I feel like already Chippy's is like, this is fine. I can fall down the 10 to 30 CS, and I'm still going to be a Gangplank, and you're still going to be.
And it was definitely still a Gangplank in game 1 against the Vlad. That counter pick didn't do a whole lot there. Had a good performance. Topped the damage charts as we saw in the graph mid-game in the break.
Poor Cannon Creep has been sucked into the vortex that is Minion Dematerializer. I feel like we do not talk about this enough, but the atrocities committed on Summoner's Rift towards minions.
Leave minions alone!
It is getting very out of hand.
Chippy's likes his minions. He's got a few there. Yeah. He's got a little army. I like it.
I like having an army of minions. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those players that I will build slow pushes and build waves as opposed to crashing them hard, like nearly every single time. Because I feel like competitive play, not as much, but I feel like in solo queue, people really underestimate minion damage. As we actually see the engage coming through from Praedyth, no Hextech ultimatum. I mean, how big is the zone and how big is Chippy's ultimate? Do they just create a dance party and
you mean inside with the minions?
Like, as in, like, if he just, like, creates a zone, then Chippy's just starts dropping the drums on it, because it sounds like drums coming.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, absolutely.
I'm becoming you. I'm doing hand actions and sound effects.
But Juves right now is looking to find Praedyth. I don't know where he is just yet. He's looking for a gank in the top lane, but you did see that trade from Praedyth onto Chippy's. Pretty well done there. Does get access to the shield, and with the Camille into Gangplank. Gangplank obviously does not have a dash, whereas Camille can
if they
jump
wait
on
this
top
out
of it.
well, this could be very nicely played by Direwolves. Remember, if Praedyth is second here, it will be good. Juves already has gone in. That is a miscommunication. Has to flash out, but he can just go nowhere. And being second to the gank as Evelynn is a very good feeling.
And Juves already one level down, 4-5, commits fully in, then burns his flash anyway, goes down. Nice read out of Praedyth there, just waiting in the bush and just has Juves' number once again.
Yeah, exactly right. The cerebral play out of Praedyth there to just continually wait. You saw one good trade go the side of Sin, and they were like, hey, we can do this.
Yeah, let's
we
go
can
top
shut
lane.
down the scaling. And he's like, not today. And he's going to take himself a blue buff as well for it. Get level 6, 2 levels up, and
will they dive?
I mean, why not?
Did he get spotted by that wall?
I mean,
doesn't matter.
He's just going to go. Remember, this will push Praedyth away if he lands it properly. Actually pushes Chippy's away.
Nice.
And the execute comes out. Stopwatch is there, and Direwolf style on Sin's top laner.
Of course, the E-Ulti drops the aggro. Chippy pops the stopwatch. Neither of them take any turret damage. That's a kill on the top side onto Juves, a kill onto Praedyth, and they get the turret damage. Big lead coming out of the top side of the map for the Direwolves.
Yeah, exactly right. You see Praedyth, he goes back, he grabs himself the upgraded Spell Thief. This is just so good right now, honestly.
And we have to touch on the bot lane, because we haven't talked about it yet, but we're looking down here right now, double tier coming out of Direwolves bot lane, onto the Taric, onto the Ezreal. So they're fine to just scale, and Sin, you look at it now, top side of the map, potentially too far gone already, both of them behind, but what aggressive options do you have down here? They do have the sunglasses that will be popping down if you do try and gank this bot lane from the Direwolves. All they have is that Varus ulti. Very defensive pickup in the Janna, so...
Not even that. I mean, we criticised a bit Doink last game for dying a couple of times in lane. This time he goes back. First item QSS. Didn't get his tier. So he's got a very late tier for a Cassiopeia. He's going to be delayed even more. This is not the Yasuo that eventually would like a Merc Scimitar anyway. Cassiopeia doesn't really like the item at all. And I feel like that has just meant that Triple now had complete control over this mid lane when he shouldn't necessarily have had it.
And he hasn't had to use his ulti for it either.
And they've just lost the complete control of the top side of the map again.
Double blue buff take here for Praedyth. Obviously going to give this one over to Triple because he has Juves.
I would have argued that, you know, Praedyth, just take it, mate. You've done enough.
You've done enough.
This is going to be the last game you play all split. You can have all the blue buffs.
I mean, not necessarily. We're only in week 2. See, if people start underperforming, we see a bit of roster shuffles because Praedyth, in terms of if this was his application to other OPL teams, pretty good one.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. He's bopping.
You're a hard man to impress sometimes. I would say this is an excellent application.
It was all about inflection, you know. You can say, oh, that was pretty good. But then you can also say, oh, that's pretty good. There's a big difference between those two things, I think. And I was the latter.
All right. We see tiers everywhere. Actually, just a heck of a lot of blue items picked up on Summoner's Rift right now. Blue items seem to be real strong at the moment.
They're okay.
Look at the turret damage already in top lane.
In a Gangplank matchup. That's something you almost never see. Chippy should not be winning this top side of the map on the Gangplank. You expect Gangplank to go down CS, to be dived a few times, but he has the lane
over this wall, goes in, he's looking for him, gets the slow, Hextech ultimatum out, gets a flash as well, and still gets the kill. Juves comes in. That will be a stopwatch Juves. They can drop the ulti here if they want out of Chippy, and they will. And then Juves gets charmed back, and in comes Triple. Ultimate drop. They have each other's back, and the Wolfpack is just out and hunting.
Sin tried to save the play there from Juice, tries to get the trade kill, but it's just not enough. Both of them go down eventually again. And this top side of the map from the Direwolves is popping off.
Certainly is, and they're doing it without their out-and-out superstar in Schernfire. Praylist 2-0-2, 100% KP. 2 levels over Tubes, out-farming him. This is a monster performance.
And you have to think there, the death by Prated was because of his non-disciplined play. He's like, okay, Chippies is pushing me and I'm going to base and I'm going to E off the wall to get that distance. If he just walked back for like a second, he holds on to that E, potentially can get away from Praylist when he ulties over the wall. Already used his gap closer there, so would have had his flash and the E available, but doesn't.
I agree with all of what you said.
Doesn't as
well, yep.
They all meant the same thing, just not good.
And unfortunately for Sin, they had a very... Ooh, Cupcake potentially was looking for the E forward out of King there. Juve sees the Evelyn, just says, maybe not,
nope,
not anymore.
Nope.
I was
just got a Cinder
willing to fight you before level 6. When, you know, I had CC, you had maybe worse CC. And unfortunately for Dream, what that means is top lane, turret's gone down. He's like, okay, but now they're just going to start getting all of this pressure translated bottom.
And this is the same sort of style that Game 1 went in. You see the top side for Sin is falling down here. Dream and K-pop have been doing fine in this bot lane matchup.
I feel this is actually perfect game territory, however. I mean, Pabu called 2 perfect games. Game 1 was certainly not a perfect game.
No.
Shame on Pabu. But game 2, now that you've got your Gangplank already picking up a Joram's Fist, you've got a very safe mid laner. Evelyn, I mean, she's going to win any 1v1 on the map right now. And Ezreal Taric does not die very easily.
Absolutely not.
That would be sweating. That would be thinking, what's the next dragon? Will Direwolves go to Baron, and can we just sneak it away?
They are looking to sneak away a blue buff potentially here. Juves hiding out in his wolf camp. He's sneaking. Does he get it?
No, he does
not.
He's out of range. Throws the Q over. Wonder if that was supposed to be a flag drag. I think it wasn't.
I think he was just looking for the Q smite there, but unfortunately clicked over the wall, so pathing popped him around to the left because that wall was in his way. Base coming out of Bedoink here. Triple. Just going to push this wave in here. Fairly even CS in the mid lane, as we did mention before. Hasn't changed too much, but I mean, already finished his item compared to the QSS.
When you're 5,000 gold up, and you may as well be 6 because there's just the QSS sitting there that hasn't been ultied. Not really all that concerned about it. Triple recalling on top of the blast plant here. They should potentially look for a collapse.
Yeah, he did walk over that ward that Juves is sitting on right
really
now.
Bad. Not going to be able to get him.
I mean, Bedoink not willing to commit his flash over that wall there. Oh, engage.
Cupcake underneath a turret. That's way too deep. Will once again draw a turret aggro as well. That is going to be Cupcake falling down. And all of a sudden, on top of King. See whether Praetor can pick up a kill. X-Tech ultimatum will come out. Lock him in there. Double kill over for Bedoink. And again, in a game where Direwolves didn't need to play aggressive bottom lane, they do when they get punished.
And there goes the perfect game, but Sin commit all 5 members to the bot side there. Chippy's just going to take another turret for his trouble. Solo gold for that one there. Already finished the Triforce, working on his Sterak's. This lead in the top side, despite Sin making up a bit of gold there on the bot side of the map, this lead for Chippies is only getting bigger at this point.
Yeah, it certainly is. Chippies is an absolute monster. You see Praylist now. He's back down here. He is hunting. See whether he can stop either of the recalls. He gets K-pop. Smite is out. K-pop has to flash. The mere presence of Praylist is enough to just chase them out of lane.
That's going to be another turret picked up for the Direwolves. And Sin, once again, they do make that proactive play. They're like, look, we're losing everywhere on the map. We need to do something. They find Cupcake under the turret, but all they get is 2 kills. No objectives, no dragons, no turrets.
They're actually staying around. They're waiting. They're maybe going to call Juice here. They use that. Ooh, they wanted the knock up.
Yeah, that was a nice little combo attempted there, but if it landed properly, they needed the Q from the Varus, the piercing arrow, I believe it's called, to come flying through to break that spell shield before the tornado, but unfortunately, they arrive at the same time.
And the big thing here is that if Chippies is near you on the map, you can't team fight, unfortunately, because he hasn't shopped in a little bit. But if we flick it over to the gold quickly, yeah.
No! That's a 3,000 gold difference.
Well, the reason I said that is because it had to be coming from somewhere. I was like, Praylist has got a couple of kills, 20 CS, that's about a couple of thousand gold. I was like, but there's still like 4,000 or 5,000 gold lead unaccounted for, and I think I found it.
He, Praetor, 3,000 gold and the lead to Chippy's 8. His lead over Praetor is approaching the point of how much gold Praetor actually has, right? That is a nasty lead in the Gangplank top side.
We have 2 items and completed boots versus no items.
No boots as well. No items, no boots. Got a Sheen, half a Phage. Got himself a Tiamat. He split himself thin here from Praedyth. Just opting into that Tiamat there so he has that pushing available. Obviously, Gangplank with the barrels can just clear out a whole wave, especially when he is accelerated like this. So Praedyth answering with some wave clear of his own. But right now he finds himself against the triple. Doesn't want to be there.
I'm very excited about this Chippies this year, because Chippies 2016 was known to be a good online player and then got big nerves when he came to stage games. For that reason, was often overlooked as a serious threat. Wasn't known as a big game player. Obviously, Direwolves won both splits last year, but they did it with people like Destiny, Fantix, obviously Shern coming back over. And at times, Chippies, even though he was playing well, wasn't probably getting the credit justified for that play. This year, however, a much more new team. I mean, you've got King and Shern is still veterans, but Triple new to the squad. Hasn't played in many big games. Cupcake, similar situation, couple of finals maybe with Legacy. And Chippies is one of the leaders. And it hasn't played on his mind yet. He's still playing very good League of Legends against, you know, Swiper week 1, now Praedyth week 2. This is an evolution of a player that now will get his just deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is he's bullying around Praedyth, but you have to think it was from that Korean bootcamp going over there and then playing against the big-name Korean players, come back to Oceania. It's like, Swiper?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Exactly right. All of a sudden, I mean, you play against Kuve and you're like, I don't really
care about the Armored Titan.
Exactly right.
I don't really care about Praedyth. He's just going to smack him around a bit, as he's doing. And has been, the biggest blow-up, I think, in the lineup of the Direwolves.
Even, I was talking to Pablo upstairs, as we're actually going to have a little bit of a fight, so they're going to try and send 3 members at Chippies, and then they're just going to run away from him. I think that's a wise call at this stage.
3-level difference between Chippies and every member that tried to attack him there. Juve cops a barrel to the face.
All right, so now they've got 4 members down here. Let's see if they can go for it. If he goes for the ulti would have been dropped from Chippies, so they just back away. And now Praedyth is potentially going to look to assassinate someone.
And they just keep trying. Chippies has the flash available, so Juves knows if he flashes for the Cataclysm, it's not going to be able to lock him down. Ooh, didn't quite see Praedyth there.
Yeah, but now they can look potentially for a bottom lane dive. Pinkwater is there, as you mentioned. Even Pablo was saying, like, oh, actually, they can't engage onto Praedyth, who will... Oh, Juves actually falls very low. I was going to say will fall down, but will not fall down is the outcome of that. Now Praedyth will be charmed up. Nothing there. Good ultimate actually out of Dream. Will force the flash out of both members. However, that keg damage is absolutely disgusting right now. And now the Direwolves arrive in numbers. Flash forward. That will be the ulti. And K-Pop and Praedyth are just stuck underneath the turret. Doesn't matter. Gets shot in the head. And that will be a double kill for the Direwolves.
And the Gangplank is so far ahead. He's sitting in between 3 people, tanking them up. He tanks the turret on the end of that one. Direwolves burn the TP on Triple to get him down to that fight, pick up a few kills. That's the Rift Herald dropped, and they're looking at the in-hit.
Yeah, exactly right. Direwolves now 11,000 gold up in a 19-minute game. This is not even close. You can see they're trying to defend, but they just cannot approach the team. This time around, however, they do the discipline thing, looking to back up. No, they're not.
Do they? No.
Get a good, very good look at a counter engage. But Doink actually puts down the ulti, but they just can't do enough damage right now. Again, they're just going to throw themselves in, and they will pick up 1 kill, but that is the Taric ultimate out, and that is health bars melting right now from Sin Gaming's lineup. And with 4 members versus 3, the Direwolves will finally decide to back away.
And they tried it last game, but apparently 11 is the magic number of gold lead you need to take that fight once again, and they do win it this time. 2 kills. 4-1 for the Direwolves, get themselves the inhib, and they do choose to back off.
And officially, no, not yet.
Oh, not quite. Not
400 gold more he needs.
Oh.
And he will be officially double.
That's gross. That's disgusting. That's too much. He's got 3 items, and Praedyth just finished the one there. It's only going to get worse from here. It's not like Camille going to be outscaling the Gangplank anytime soon.
I'm telling you, I mean, I said it so many times. Gangplank in O's is just slept on.
It's not getting punished.
And it's not being punished at all. And it is, for me, having the biggest impact in the game. Gangplank and Galio are the 2 champions that right now I feel just are so hard to punish and have such big global teamfight presence.
And interestingly today, Mind you, we're only one series deep here. This one's not quite over yet, but we haven't seen a Galio yet. We have seen Gangplank 2 games in a row, but neither of these teams do choose to pick it up, whereas yesterday, we did see AV first picking that one.
Yeah, exactly right. You just saw it flash up on your screen there, guys. We want to know how you're watching the OPL today. Head over to the Instagram page. It's very new. Chuck it a like. Send us in some pictures. These are always my favorite. Atlas was very obsessed with underwater photos, which I just remember from like 2 years ago.
How do you watch?
Because I think someone like took a picture through like a fish tank, and Atlas got real confused.
Yeah,
and it was brilliant. And Direwolves right now, they're just 13,000 gold up at 21 minutes into the game, which is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're playing it pretty slow right now. The Crab did just die. Sin did have that one available, so Direwolves, they are clearing out the vision right now. Blue Water in the pit, they're clearing it all out, pushing in the waves. And we saw this last week, despite having these mega gold leads. About 13,000 gold right now, you just mentioned. Oh, there's a bit of a fight going in the mid lane.
Big
King.
engage onto King.
Sky
I think he's
Flash.
already burnt his E. Has Flash. Gets out with it. Now you can see the turnaround damage is still there. They take Baron. And there's like just nothing they can do.
King says, you think I'm trapped in here with you? Absolutely not. You're trapped in here with me. As he just stands in the Cataclysm with the Flash available, fighting Juice. No damage coming out onto him there. As they do pick up the Baron.
Nearly gets the kill there onto K-Pop. In fact, is still looking for him. As you mentioned, Baron in the mid lane. They use the Voidlings to tank up a couple of turret shots. But Chippy's in the top lane. Super Creep's in the bottom lane. As I think I respect this call out of Kratos. He's like, I'll handle the Super Creep. Someone else just go grab top.
Yeah, guys. Look what I created. Look at Gangplank. I'll take the Super Creeps. Thank you very much. Direwolves pushing in 2 lanes here. Do Sin pull the trigger. They do TP people behind. They're looking for a
charm lands onto Juice. Has to walk forward. No damage follows it. But you can just see that this is... Juice actually just walks forward. He says, boys, let's fight. Ultimate goes out. You can see Taric is also going to use his ultimate. Juice just falls down. Not one to hang around in a game if he doesn't have to. K-Pop falls very low. Will get sniped out. And that is a big one-team fight right now. On the back line. Double kill picked up for King.
Kratos hit Direwolves with a hard flank there, and he walked in, hit him with a sweep, and was like, yeah, nah, I'm not going in on this one. He just turns around, falls down at the end of that fight, but that's going to be all 3 inhibitors taken by the Direwolves, and you hope that they can pick up the game right here.
Yeah, exactly right. This game has gone for long enough in the Direwolves' eyes. You can see they're already escorting a minion wave in the top lane. They have so much damage to these turrets. And really, there is just no way that Sin can engage. We've seen it tried and tried, but it just is not working. Chippies takes half the Dream's health, and you can see they're just slowly getting overwhelmed. Cassiopeia all burnt for no effect. And now Super Creeps with Baron buff. Inhibit it down. Juice goes in again. He's just throwing himself at the opponent. Big Gangplank ultimate. Big triple keg. And this will be Direwolves absolutely wiping the floor with Sin. Juice goes in again. He's just going to continually throw himself at the enemy team. But really, it is just all in vain. And as soon as they decide that they want to end this game, I feel like they just can.
It's a 2 for 2 in terms of kills, but Direwolves brought an army here as the minions are actually going to be the ones to end the game. So that's a 2-0 picked up for Direwolves over Sin Gaming.
Yeah, and the Direwolves now look like they have finally had the game that we expected them to have. A little bit shaky versus Chiefs. The subs have been playing on their mind. Game 1, Sin hit back in a bottom lane team fight. But this game, from start to finish, Direwolves were incredibly clean in their play.
I mean, do you even say that? Can you say the subs have been on their minds right now? Because Praelis today had absolutely great games, I think. His last 2 games last week as well. Very good as King's throwing around the Schernfire jacket there. They've still got him. He's back.
I mean,
pick up the win.
That's got to feel great. Because beating Chiefs with a sub, and they had a sub at the same time, that's your like, this sub didn't really hurt us. This suspension didn't hurt us. Beating Sin are just always a team that I feel like every OPL team, like, they play on your mind a little bit. They're like, if we're going to drop a game against a team that we should beat, it's probably going to be Sin Gaming. They're the team that has historically caused a lot of upsets. But now they've got through the suspension unscathed. They're going to be on 5 points.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this is the last week of that for a lot of the teams. We see the Bombers, they've had a very unsuccessful run with their substitutions here coming through. And they will have their full roster back next week. And the same for Direwolves. They do get through that portion of their season.
Because that's a good comparison, right? Direwolves, they lose one of their best players, but they still pick up 2 victories. Bombers lose 2 of their star players, one of which is an import, and then Luch, who's been around for a very long time on that lineup. and they fall 2-0-2. So if you look at how much the suspension has hurt Bombers, you would say that that has very large impact on their season. It's only a 9-week-long season. You only play, I mean, everyone 1.5 times, really. And Direwolves have got through this not punished.
Yep, absolutely. They're chilling right now as they shake their hands. Prayless, sorry, last man there. Shaking their hands, very good performance. We've mentioned it. His application for OPL teams, there you go. He's handed in his resume.
Please check Global Contract Database and make sure if he is still contracted that you go through the appropriate channels. I don't want us to be responsible for any further bans.
Oh, no.
No competitive rulings towards Bryce, Each, and Paul, please.
Please, no.
But in saying that, very impressive jungler.
Just clean.
I would expect that after something like that, the teams realistically have to take a look and say, is this guy someone that we want to bring in? Potentially, if, you know, halfway through Split 1 it's not going well, or Split 2 and you want to make a late run.
Yeah, I mean, I expect after that performance to see him Split 2 minimum. But talking about the Direwolves as a whole, I think just they really cleaned it up Game 2. Game 1, pretty messy, that call on the bot side with the inhib. Pretty rough around the edges there, but Game 2 they shaved 4 minutes off the game timer. They probably could have shaved another 10 seconds if they stopped diving the Nexus, but that's what we've come to expect in the OPL.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, what is really impressive is, sure, they're not, like, they're very short games, but what is even more impressive is the fact that globally games are very hard to close out at the moment. Pushing into things like Azir, Cassiopeia, it's incredibly difficult, especially when you're running, you know, anti-dive like Taric, like, not really known for getting under. It can, but like doesn't really facilitate it as much. Gangplank, Evelyn, you don't have like Maokai's, Nautilus, like Jarvan, Zac, like just get under the turret. Although Aura's still playing that way. So I think that is nearly as quick as you can close that game out. So credit to the Direwolves, and we do have actually one of the Wolfpack standing alongside with Pabu and Laura.
Thanks, guys. Yes, we're joined here by Triple, the mid laner for the Direwolves. Congratulations on the win. I just want to start out by saying the casters were briefly talking about it, but the average game time in week 1 was 32 minutes and 33 seconds. You were able to close the first game out in 26:49 and the second game in 23:49. What did you think of your and your team's performance today?
Right. Well, for me, it's like redemption, you know. Like last week, I played so badly, so I wanna show what I learnt, you know, because in practice it didn't go that badly.
How has it been for you joining the Direwolves and being able to use their facilities?
Yeah, definitely having a structure there is like one of the most important things, really. Like, I think Sin don't even have a house, so it's like you can see it's affecting them a lot, right? So yeah, I'm just grateful for everything.
Prayless has been a substitute for the team as of recently. Does he bring anything new to the table that Shenfire didn't? Is he slotting in well? How do you guys feel about him?
Prayless himself is just, he's very easy to work with. So he listens to what you have to say. Very open-minded individual. And yeah, I recommend people pick him up or something. He's very good.
Did you feel any pressure at all stepping into the Direwolves as their mid laner? Because even though you're incredibly talented, it must have felt like you had some big shoes to fill joining the team.
If anything, it's like less pressure, you know, because there's no like big expectation on you. Because like obviously Fantix was better than me, right? So yeah, I'm not like, there's no expectation. So it's fine.
In game 1, Badoink locked in Yasuo. What was going through your guys' heads? What were you guys thinking? You know, you just looked at it and it's like, oh, what do we do with this? You know, how are you guys thinking?
Alright, Prayless called this one. He actually called it. He's like, they're gonna, Prayless is playing Yasuo and solo queue. He's spamming it. They're gonna pick it and we're gonna think it's stop and they'll flex it mid. He actually called it. So wasn't that surprising considering he's a Yasuo main, but I don't think Yasuo's a good champion right now. So
fair enough.
What did you think of him in game 2? Because yeah, even though he played Yasuo in game 1, I think he had a better performance in game 2 on Cass.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he played well given the circumstances, but yeah, he was put in a situation where he could only react, and it's just downhill from then on.
It's very early days, but I want to ask, do you think that we're definitely going to see the Direwolves in the finals this split?
It's honestly, like you say, it's too early to say. I don't get cocky or anything. It's just yeah, just back to work, you know.
Well, humble as always, Triple. Congratulations again on the win. But don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back with our second series of the day right after this break.
Slow. Hextech ultimatum out, gets a flash as well, and still gets the kill. Juice comes in. That will be a stopwatch use. They can drop the ulti here if they want out of Chippy, and they will. And then Juice gets charmed back, and in comes Triple. Ultimate drop. They have each other's back, and the Wolfpack is just out and hunting. Good ultimate actually out of Dream. Will force the flash out of both members. However, that keg damage is absolutely disgusting right now. And now the Direwolves arrive in numbers. Flash forward. That will be the ulti. And K-Pop and Praetor, they're just stuck underneath the turret. Doesn't matter. Gets shot in the head. And that will be a double kill for the Direwolves. And again, they're just going to throw themselves in. And they will pick up 1 kill. But that is the Taric ultimate out. And that is health bars melting right now from Sim Gaming's lineup. Juice actually just walked forward. He says, boys, let's fight. Ultimate goes out. You can see Taric is also going to use his ultimate. Juice just falls down. Not one to hang around in a game if he doesn't have to. K-Pop falls very low. Will get sniped out.
It's a 2 for 2 in terms of kills, but Direwolves brought an army here. The minions are actually going to be the ones to end the game. So that's a 2-0 picked up for Direwolves over Sim Gaming.